Chapter 1158. Lu Ruoxuan's voice is too mournful, and coupled with her miserable appearance from being chased and beaten by Jiang Xinyu, many people sympathize with her. There are even people pointing fingers at Mayan. Zhang Hofei fiercely rushes forward like an arrow, pulling Lu Ruoxuan into his arms and glaring at Mayan. Jun Mayan, you're going too far. I often hear Chuan mention that she worships you and treats you as a good friend. I didn't expect you to treat her like this. You look as beautiful as a flower, but you have a heart of a snake and scorpion. Lu Ruoxuan holds on to Jiang Hofei's sleeve and sobs. Hofei Gij, don't say anymore. Chuan only blames herself for trusting the wrong person. I thought that even if Miss June and my senior sister had a grudge, we still have a friendship of going through trials and tribulations together, and also participating in the sex selection together. I thought that she would at least save me, but I didn't expect that she would actually ruin my face. Boo-hoo-hoo, what did I do wrong? Why did she treat me like that? Zhang Hofei's heart aches from hearing her sorrowful cries, and he comforts her again and again. The surrounding people's accusations against Mayan become louder and louder. This little girl's appearance is devastatingly beautiful, but I didn't expect her to have a heart of stone. She would actually watch a weak woman die without saving her. That's right, not to mention that they're old acquaintances. Not only did she not save her, she even ruined someone else's face. Listening to Zhang Hofei's accusations and the surrounding people's discussions, Luo Yu and the others are simply about to explode. Don't slander her. It was obviously this woman who wanted to use the whip to whip my sick senior sister. My sick senior sister fought back, and the whip landed on her face. She only has herself to blame. What does this have to do with my sick senior sister? Mayan pulls the thunderous Luo Yu and Lung Yuma and slowly walks to Lu Ruoxuan. The accusations against Mayan become louder and louder, more and more unpleasant. When they fall into Lu Ruoxuan's ears, a smile flashes in her eyes, but when she looks up again, there's only sadness and grievance. Mayan, I've always worshipped you and wanted to be friends with you. I can forget about what you've done in the past. Can you not harm me in the future? Liao, how could you be so stupid? Jiang Hofei said in exasperation. This woman is so vicious. How could she not harm you? Jean, you should stay away from her in the future. No, it's not like that. Lu Ruoxuan has a stubborn and expectant look as she shakes her head. I know that Mu Yin is not such a person, and she did not deliberately harm me. I really want to bury the hatchet between us. Mayan, promise me, okay? Saying that, she stretches out her hand and looks at Mu Yin expectantly. Her eyes are clear and bright, just like the most innocent deer. The people around her were all moved by her beauty and kindness. They asked one after another, which sect was she from? In this deceitful world of cultivation, such a beautiful and pure person was already too few and far between. Mu Yin slowly crouches down and looks at Lu Ruoxuan's outstretched hand. The corner of her mouth hooks up into a smile that isn't a smile. First, I'm not familiar with you, so don't call me Mayan. Just hearing it makes me want to vomit last night's dinner. Hearing that, Lu Ruoxuan's face stiffens. Mayan you. Chapter 1159. But she had forgotten that this woman was not only cold-hearted, she was also a lunatic. Mu Yin raised her hand, and a dagger appeared in her fingertips. The blade of the dagger glowed with a green light. The cold metal touched Lu Ruoxuan's newly healed scar. Mu Yan's smile became even more charming. Secondly, it's not the first time you've done something like moral blackmail in public. But you'd better think back carefully. Will this method work on me? Lu Ruoxuan's face paled even more. She suddenly remembered the heavenly fragrance tower. So many innocent girls' lives were in Ning Yuqing's hands. But this woman did not care at all. She watched them die and insisted on taking revenge on Ning Yuqing and the clan selection in the Windless Square. This woman did not even kill a single-horned rhino. She only stole other people's points and climbed to first place in the end. At that time, she had never been afraid of gossip. Later, when Qian Feng threatened her as an elder of the Li-Fire clan, she had never been afraid to compromise. This woman was a lunatic. But because of jealousy and hatred, she had forgotten this fact time and time again. Lu Ruoxuan's body began to tremble uncontrollably. She desperately wanted to shrink into Jiang Hofei's arms. But suddenly, her body seemed to be controlled, and she could not move at all. June Muyin, don't do anything. Muyin looked at her panicked expression and patted her face with the back of her dagger. Why are you so afraid? Afraid that I will kill you? Don't worry, I won't. This is the Starry School. You will be expelled if you kill someone. Lu Ruoxuan had just breathed a sigh of relief when she heard Mu Yin continue. Third, since you said that I disfigured you, then if I don't make this matter true, wouldn't I be letting down your repeated framing? As soon as she finished speaking, the dagger in her hand suddenly slashed. The strength and angle of the slash were extremely precise, almost exactly the same as the one Jiang Xinyu had slapped Lu Ruoxuan's face. But the only difference was that Lu Ruoxuan instantly felt a numbing itch and a burning pain from her wound. Lu Ruoxuan screamed and desperately took out her talismans to burn. Now that the talisman was gone, she took out a pill and swallowed it. But when she took out the Lioli glass to look at her face, she found that there was an extremely obvious scar on her face. This scar was no longer the faint color of flesh, but a dark red. It looked like a giant centipede was crawling on her face, looking exceptionally ferocious. Ah! My face, my face! Lu Ruoxuan screams madly at Mayan. Jun Mayan, what did you do to me? Mu Yin carelessly says, I've said it before. I've confirmed the crime you've put on me. If it was said that the whip wound just now, even if it left a scar, it could still be healed with medicine. But at this moment, Mu Yin had seeped into the wound with colored poison. It would not cause any substantial harm to Lu Ruoxuan, but this obvious black and red scar would accompany her for almost the rest of her life. Unless there was an extremely skilled doctor who used rare medicinal herbs to treat the wound, it would be impossible to remove the scar. Due to Lu Ruoxuan's heaven-defying luck, Mayan can't guarantee that she won't be able to get rid of the scar on her face one day. Chapter 1160. Lu Ruoxuan shrieked and threw herself at Hua Mayan, trying to scratch her face. But Mu Yin just casually takes a step back, and she falls to the ground in a sorry state. Jiang Hofei quickly helped her up. Ruoxuan, are you okay? In his arms, Lu Ruoxuan cried in despair and anger. Brother Hofei, she ruined my face. You have to take revenge for me. You have to take revenge for me. Jiang Hofei stood up angrily and waved his hands, ordering his fellow disciples to capture Mayan. The 5 from the Xiao Yao sect had already rushed over and stood in front of Mayan. Even Yun Ruhan, who had a good temper, said coldly, Who dares to touch our little junior sisters? The people from the mountain-breaking sect felt the murderous intent in the air. Their faces turned pale, and they took a few steps back, especially when they heard the discussions of the surrounding cultivators. Do the people from the mountain-breaking sect know that the 7 from the Xiao Yao sect almost defeated the strongest Jinan teacher? They only have a dozen people, and only 3 to 5 of them are at the stage of fasting. Yet, they want to fight against the Xiao Yao 7? Are they looking for death? That's right. Even though Jun Mayan has no fighting power, she is the strongest support teacher. The other 6 from the Xiao Yao sect are naturally protecting her. How could they let her get hurt? Also, I think Jun Mayan is right. Lu Ruoxuan said everything herself. She acted and cried pitifully, but it doesn't stand up to scrutiny. It was Jiang Xinyu who hurt her face with her whip, yet she accused Jun Mayan of ruining her face. I don't think there's anything wrong with Jun Mayan's words. That's right. We were all fooled by Lu Ruoxuan's pitiful words. But look at her ferocious face. Who knows what her real personality is? You guys don't know. Lu Ruoxuan is famous in the mountain-breaking sect for seducing men. Almost all the sisters in the mountain-breaking sect have been tricked by her. In a short period of time, the public opinion started to change. Lu Ruoxuan's ferocious face when she was injured woke many people up. On top of that, the female cultivators of the mountain-breaking sect came out to expose Lu Ruoxuan's true colors, causing the pitiful image she had just created to crumble in an instant. Jiang Xinyu was the happiest among them all. She took a step forward and gave Lu Ruoxuan a ruthless kick. Ha ha ha, Lu Ruoxuan, to think that you would have such a day. Immediately after, he looks at Mayan without the resentment he had at the beginning, only full of approval. At that time, when she was tormented by this woman in the Mirror Moon Mountain Range, she hated Mayan to death. But at this time, seeing Mu Yin torturing Lu Ruoxuan 10 times more than 100 times, this woman whom she can't do anything about, she only feels unspeakably carefree. As a result, his original hatred towards Mu Yin has also dissipated. She even took a step forward and said sincerely, You really have a way. I had never seen the affected woman so wretchedly discomfited. On account of you punishing this slut, I'll write off the Mirror Moon Mountain Ranges matter. Chapter 1161. However, looking at Jiang Xinyu's unruly and headstrong, yet completely innocent face, she couldn't help but blush. She's someone who's lived 2 lives. Why bother with a little girl who hasn't grown up? Thinking this, she couldn't help but pinch Jiang Xinyu's face, revealing a smile. This smile, in a split second, is like 100 flowers blooming, bright and enchanting. Jiang Xinyu stares blankly staring at her for a long time, unable to come back to her senses. She didn't even notice that her face was being pinched. You're so beautiful, so much so that she's not the least bit inferior to the Gongzi she saw in the Mirror Moon Mountain Range. When she realizes what she's saying, Jiang Xinyu's face flushes red. In order to cover up her embarrassment, she rushes in front of Lu Ruoxuan and kicks her a few times, sneering, Slut, you snatched my chance to enter the inner sect. You're very happy, aren't you? Do you think you can go to the inner sect to seduce people again? Now that you're wearing this face, I'd like to see how you're going to seduce people. Zhang Hofei angrily says, Xinyu, don't go too far. Jiang Xinyu looks at her brother with disdain. This woman is so shameless. Even that kind face has been ruined, yet you still treat her like a treasure. I don't have a stupid brother like you. Saying that, she turns around and walks away, returning to the group of female cultivators of the Breaking Mountain sect. After this incident, the relationship between Jiang Xinyu and her fellow apprentice sisters has improved a lot. Several people are laughing, pointing at Lu Ruoxuan, their faces full of ridicule and disdain. Occasionally, Jiang Xinyu would look in Mayan's direction, her round face flushing from time to time. Zhang Hofei looks at the wounds on Lu Ruoxuan's face and body with heartache, emotionally saying, Jiner, don't worry, no matter what you become, I won't despise you. Lu Ruoxuan's tear-stained eyelashes droop, covering the bone-chilling light in her eyes. But her mouth still speaks in a soft and tender voice. Hofei Gij, only you are the best to Jean. Boo-hoo-hoo, Jean, doesn't want to live with this face for the rest of her life. My poor Jean, Don't worry, no matter what price I have to pay, I will definitely heal your face. After seeing all kinds of flight-type magic weapons in the Windless Square, Muyin had always been very envious and wanted to experience it. However, the Xiao Yao sect was too poor. It was not easy for them to feed themselves, let alone buy expensive flying treasures. But today, she finally experienced the feeling of sitting on a flying magic treasure. Standing on the deck of the spaceship, he could feel the breeze brushing past his ears. Gazing into the distance, one could see a clear blue sky. Bending down, one could see a vast expanse of clouds, mountains and rivers stretching for thousands of miles. This feeling was simply too great. Look at you! Seven Brilliance's disdainful voice resounded in his ears. A mere low-level flying artifact is enough to make you this happy. Don't tell anyone that you're my master. What kind of treasure is this spaceship? It can only fly up to 1,000 meters in the air. Do you know that in the future, this Tianmo Qin's complete form can escape beyond the 9 heavens, even shatter the void and soar tens of thousands of miles? Mayan sneers. You also said that it's the complete form. Qi Xiaowang. Then please tell me, how long will it take for the Tianmo Qin to reach its complete form? Seven Brilliance choked on his words. Chapter 1162. Qi Huang. so aggrieved. Not yet. Tisk, since you can't, what are you blabbering on for? Go back and play toddler chess. Junmai Chi Huang was furious. Do you believe that I will kill this stupid bird right now, so that you will never find your son again? Little Phoenix, what does this have to do with me? This bird is very innocent, okay? Well, little brother, why aren't you back yet? Qiu is going to be killed by the Demon King. Seeing that Chi Huang was really angered to the point of exploding, Mayan smiled lightly and entered the space with her divine sense. With a light wave of her hand, a set of red clothes was thrown in front of Chi Huang. Chi Huang was startled, the anger on his face instantly turning into dullness. He couldn't recover for a while. What are you doing? Mayan touched her nose and said with some pain, do you know how long I looked in Tianguang ruins before I found clothes and jewelry that can be worn by a soul? The key is that it's extremely expensive. As she spoke, she waved at Little Phoenix. Little Phoenix immediately flew over obediently. Mayan put a small golden phoenix crown on Little Phoenix's head. Little Phoenix immediately felt a stream of clear water flowing into its body. Its round red eyes lit up. Pretty sister, is this for Qiu? Mayan smiled and nodded. Do you like it? Yes. Qiu nodded heavily and kept spinning in the air with the golden crown. Qiu likes it very much. Pretty sister, is Qiu nice? Is Qiu the nicest bird? When little brother and fat rabbit come back, Qiu must show it to them. Mayan smiled gently at Qiu, who was playing happily in the air, but there was a trace of longing in her eyes. She hadn't seen her Xiao Bao for so long. She wondered if he had grown up. She had bought so many clothes. Would Xiao Bao be able to wear them? Hopefully, she would be able to find her baby in the starry school this time. Hey, Junmai, Chi Huang's somewhat distorted voice suddenly came to her ear. Mayan looked back and saw the young man in new clothes and was a little stunned. His face was like the moon in mid-autumn, and his color was like the flowers in the dawn of spring. However, she was graceful and unparalleled in her charm. Chi Huang bites her lips, a blush appearing on her white jade-like cheeks. Junmai, what do you mean? Only praising the stupid bird, but not the supreme one? Don't tell me it doesn't look good on me? No. Mu Yin mutters, I just didn't expect that my family's Qi Xiao Huang would actually be such an alluring and incomparably beautiful man. If you're released, you'll definitely be able to eat both men and women. Anyone who sees you would want to pounce on you. The blush on Chi Huang's face instantly spread to his ears. He wanted to say something, but Mu Yin heard someone shouting outside and quickly left. Chi Huang looked in the direction where she had disappeared and lay on the grass hatefully. However, he suddenly thought of something. He quickly changed out of his new clothes. Stupid Junmai, Chi Huang mutters. Don't you know that Ben Jun's clothes can be changed at will? Idiot! Although he said this, he carefully put it away. He didn't hide it in the space, but instead put it under his head. After a while, he felt that something was wrong. He took out the clothes and gently and carefully held them in his arms. Then, with a shallow and innocent smile, she fell asleep. Chapter 1163. It would be great if the Great Devil could sleep all the time. The Great Devil looks so good when he sleeps. He's 1/100th as good-looking as little brother. Just as he was thinking this, the little phoenix suddenly met a pair of phoenix eyes that had opened. That pair of phoenix eyes was still like autumn waves, but they were bottomless and bone-chilling. The little phoenix suddenly shivered and tumbled onto the grass. But when it opened its eyes again, it saw that Chi Huang was still sleeping well, with that shallow and innocent smile on his face. Just now, could it have been an illusion? The little phoenix thought anxiously, but it couldn't suppress the surging fear and chill in its heart. Mine only found out after leaving the space that the person calling her was Ling Yuxing. To be precise, it was Ling Yuxing who had gathered the six of them. A tall woman dressed in a palace dress was leisurely handing a sachet to each of them. Fifth brother, why are you giving us sachets? Luo Yu asked curiously. We men don't need sachets. Ling Yuxing stroked his hair, his face proud. If you don't want it, You can return it to me. Luoyu was about to return it when she saw Chu Moli take out a handful of crystals and throw them into the sachet. The sachet looked palm-sized, but Chu Moli had thrown more than a dozen crystals inside. Yet there wasn't the slightest change in the sachet. Luoyu was stunned. This is a spatial storage artifact? Fifth brother, when did you learn to refine tools? Ling Yuxing curled his lips and said in disdain, refining tools is a job where you have to deal with copper and iron bones all day long, and you also have to burn yourself to a crisp every day. How could this concubine be interested in such a vulgar job? If it's not refining tools, then this sachet. Mayan looked at the sachet for a while, then raised her head and said in amazement, Fifth brother, you actually infuse the law of space and spiritual power into every needle. To be able to do this, one must have a profound control over speed, space, and embroidery. Yun Ruhan and the others were also shocked when they heard this. Each and every one of them looked at Ling Yuxing as if they were looking at a monster. Usually, they only knew that Lao Wu liked to dress up as a woman, liked needlework, and was very good at cooking. His golden needles and silver thread skills were extraordinary. He also knew that he had the fastest speed among the Xiao Yao 7 in battle. He could even teleport with the help of his junior sister's zither music. But he never expected that he could already sew a sachet that could be used for storage with just a needle and thread and his own control of space. Ling Yuxing's expression was indifferent. You'll naturally learn it as you sew. It's no big deal. Mayan suddenly said, Fifth brother, this phoenix flight that you embroidered for me is really beautiful. Junior sister has good taste. Ling Yuxing didn't have much of a reaction to someone praising him for embroidering a storage sachet, but now that he hears Mayan praising her embroidery, his eyes immediately light up. Overjoyed, he leans over. Little junior sister, let me tell you, those vulgar wild men don't understand. Only you are my soulmate. I used 6 different embroidery techniques on the phoenix's eyes. Lung Yuma, who was categorized as a vulgar wild man. I will leave, okay? I'm not a woman, okay? The other 5, who were originally vulgar wild men, turn around and leave with expressionless faces. Ling Yuxing didn't notice their departure at all. He only pulled Mayan's hand and kept talking. Chapter 1164. Just then, 2 young girls walked past. Their conversation unintentionally drifted into their ears. You want to enter Tianshu Institute? Of course I want to. If I enter the Tianshu courtyard, I will be able to become Senior Ouyang's junior brother. But, with my talent, how can I enter the Tianshu Institution? Senior Ouyang, who is that? Is he in Tianshu Institute? I heard that Tianshu Institute never recruits more than 10 people every year. Isn't that obvious? Senior Ouyang is a rare genius of our cloud-penetrating city in 100 years. Even the city lord of our cloud-penetrating city speaks highly of him and wishes to betroth his daughter to him. Mu Yen suddenly realized that Ling Yuxing, who was talking excitedly and spittle, suddenly stopped. His expression became dazed and blurred. Fifth brother, what's wrong? Nothing. Ling Yuxing suddenly came back to his senses. I suddenly remembered that I still have something to do. Without waiting for Mu Yan's reaction, he lowered his head and left. Mu Yan frowned slightly, deep in thought. She felt that Ling Yuxing's reaction just now was like he was running away, or like he couldn't suppress his emotions anymore. What happened just now? A day later, the huge spaceship floated in the air and slowly descended. Oh my God, this is Starry School. It's so beautiful. On the deck outside the spaceship, hundreds of new students looked down, their faces full of amazement. Passing through the clouds and descending, there was a huge dipper shape on the vast land. From Do Kue to Do Handle, Dubby, Merak, Fekta, Migrez, Alioth, Mizar, and Alcade. Where Do Kue pointed was a huge silver star. That was the core of Starry School, School of the Emperor's Star. The 7 schools were shrouded in 7 colors. Dubby was orange. Merak was red. Fekta was yellow. Migrez was silver. Alioth was white. Migrez was mysterious. Only the alcade at the end of dough handle was gray without any color. These 6 colors were, in fact, the protective barriers that the 6 branches had erected. Looking from afar, it was silver. It was not only a way to protect his students, but also a symbol of prestige and honor. Luo Yu leaned on the railing of the deck of the spaceship and giggled. Big senior brother, 6 senior sister. Which color should we choose? I think these 7 colors are pretty nice. Mine used to grow up in a mortal world where flying was impossible. How could she have ever seen such a spectacular scenery? For a moment, he was stunned. When he heard Luo Yu's question, he was about to answer when he turned around and saw Ling Yuxing staring blankly in the direction of the Tianshu Institute. 5th senior brother, do you like the Tianshu courtyard? Muyin asked. Ling Yuxing seemed to have come back to his senses at this moment, and almost subconsciously shook his head. No, I don't want to go to the Tianshu Institute. Muyin stares blankly, only to see a flash of pain in Ling Yuxing's eyes. Ling Yuxing was still dressed as a woman. Her figure was tall and coquettish, but her expression was cold and distant. On the surface, she really looked like an unattainable goddess. But this is the first time Mu Yin has seen Ling Yuxing reveal such an expression. Mu Yin curled her lips and smiled. 5th senior brother doesn't like the orange color? Great, I don't like it either. Then let's not choose the Tianshu Institute. Chapter 1166. When he said this, his cheeks slightly puffed up, dimples faintly appearing, looking indescribably adorable. Lung Yuma grabbed his face and laughed. Isn't our Xiaoqi a child who can't grow up? However, since Lao Wu said he doesn't like orange, then we won't go to Tianshu Courtyard. Yun Ruhan also nodded. It's good not to go to Tianshu Courtyard. They had been in the limelight and had made enough enemies during the recruitment test. Yun Ruhan only wanted to watch her juniors finish their studies in peace and help her junior sister find the person she wanted to find. She didn't want to cause trouble at all and swagger through the streets. Ling Yuxing looked at the 6 people blankly. After a long time, he said hoarsely, "You don't have to do it for me. You think too much." Chu Moli mercilessly interrupted him. For us, isn't it the same no matter which courtyard we enter? We can't even hide it. Mu Yan's mouth twitched. 3rd senior brother, I just found out that you're such a narcissistic person. Chu Moli glanced at her and said slowly, Thank you for the compliment. Mu Yin, they laughed and joked for a while. Finally, only Mu Yin and Ling Yuxing were left in front of the railing. Ling Yuxing looked at the colorful land that was getting closer and closer. His eyes blurred for a moment. Then he slowly said, Junior sister, thank you. Thank me for what? Mu Yin smiled lightly. I really don't like orange. As soon as she saw orange, it reminded her of Jingqing country where Gong Qinxue was. Even if Tianshu Courtyard was a place where resources were concentrated and people flocked to, she was not interested. Ling Yuxing's face slowly revealed a relieved smile. He gently brushed the hair at the side of his temples. His movements were as flirtatious as usual. But for some reason, in Mu Yan's eyes, there was a kind of lonely, heroic spirit. It was completely different from how he usually treated himself as a woman. When I was on the spaceship, I suddenly knew that there was a person I never wanted to see in my life in Tianshu Courtyard. When Ling Yuxing said this, he slightly lowered his eyes and tilted his head so that no one could see his expression. But Mu Yin inexplicably felt that 5th senior brother was emitting a sense of desolation that was close to despair. The flying ship descended lower and lower until it passed through the silvery purple protective shield of the School of the Emperor's Star. The moment the spaceship entered the protective shield, Mu Yan's body suddenly trembled. At the same time, Qiuqiu's excited voice sounded beside her ear. Little big brother, it's little big brother. Qiuqiu sensed little big brother. But it disappeared immediately. This time, Mu Yin didn't rush to question the little phoenix. Because in that instant, just now, she'd sensed the shackles that connected her heart to Xiaobao. However, it also happened in an instant. She only sensed it the moment the spaceship passed through the protective shield. However, this feeling soon disappeared completely. Mayan tightly clenches her hands into fists, exerting herself to suppress it, so that her body won't tremble, so that her expression and movements won't lose control. She told herself over and over again, June Mayan, don't worry. You're already here. Even if you flip the entire starry school upside down, you'll definitely be able to find the treasure. At the very least, she was now certain that her Xiaobao was 100% safe. Chapter 1167. At the very center of the school of the Emperor's Star was a huge square called Tai Square. As for Mu Yin and the other new students, they were placed on the Tai Plaza. In the next few days, the new students would listen to the Starry School's teachings on Tai Square. Among them were the Starry School's rules, principles, and principles. There were also teachers and students from the various branches recommending themselves and recruiting elite cultivators. These days would last for 3 whole days. These 3 days were called the Starry School's entrance ceremony. In a hall next to Tai Square, a few girls were gathered together, whispering to the new students who had just disembarked from the spaceship. I heard from the returning teachers that there are quite a few geniuses in this batch. Maybe even Tianshu Institution will have a few new students this year? Yeah, look, isn't the guy who just got off the spaceship handsome and tall? Haha. So what if he's handsome and outstanding? Who can compare to Mingzhu's brother, Senior Ouyang? Hearing this, the most beautiful and cute girl among them could not help but smile proudly, although she tried her best to control herself. Mingzhu, you're so lucky to be Senior Ouyang's sister. That's right, Senior Ouyang is cold and distant to everyone, but he is extremely fond of Mingzhu, his younger sister. We're so envious of him. Last time, I even saw Senior Ouyang come to our Yuhing branch to give something to Mingzhu. At that time, the entire Yuhing branch was in an uproar. I even saw Senior Ouyang smile gently at Mingzhu. If it was me, I would definitely drown in Senior Ouyang's smile. A sweet joy flashed through Ouyang Mingzhu's eyes, but she defended herself. It's not as exaggerated as you say. Brother is just giving something that mother asked him to give to me. I'm his only sister. Of course he would smile at me. What's so strange about that? Why don't you take a look? Senior Ouyang is usually indifferent and aloof. He rarely has any expression on his face. Apart from you, who else have you seen him smile like that? Hearing this, Ouyang Mingzhu was still smiling at first. Suddenly, she seemed to think of something and the joy on her face faded. Who else have you seen him smile like that but you? In fact, in the past, her brother was extremely patient, spoiled, and gentle to that person, even more than he was to her. No! Ouyang Mingzhu suddenly came back to her senses and subconsciously shook her head, a trace of annoyance flashing in her eyes. What was wrong with her? Why did she suddenly think of that unlucky person? His brother hated him to death, didn't he? That kind of disgusting monster, that kind of shameless pervert. How could he be compared to her position in her brother's heart? As Ouyang Mingzhu was thinking, suddenly, someone beside her let out a gasp of surprise. Look at the 2 ladies who just walked down. They are so beautiful, especially the one in front. She is 100 times more beautiful than Mingzhu. No, Mingzhu. That's not what I meant. Ouyang Mingzhu frowned. No woman would want to lose to others in terms of appearance. However, she wouldn't get angry over such a trivial matter. She just sneered and turned around to slash. Chapter 1168. However, as soon as she looked over, Ouyang Mingzhu's pupils constricted. Why is he here? Ouyang Mingzhu was usually cheerful in front of everyone, with a bit of the arrogant personality of a rich family's young lady. Her voice was also crisp and coquettish. But at this time, when her voice suddenly rose, it was like the cry of a chicken that had its throat pinched, scaring all the other female cultivators of Yuhing Courtyard and the surroundings. Mingzhu, what's wrong? Do you know someone among the new students? Ouyang Mingzhu stared in one direction, her face turning green and white. Suddenly, she strode in that direction. On Tai Square, the country bumpkins of the Xiaoyao School were looking around excitedly. This is Starry School. It's so grand, so beautiful. Our entire Xiaoyao School combined is probably not even as big as a toilet in this school. The school is so beautiful. The school uniforms are beautiful too. They're colorful. I like the red one the most. Only Mu Yin was absent-minded. She kept releasing her divine consciousness to sense the surroundings. She hoped that a miracle would happen and she would find Xiaobao. However, the result was disappointing. Ling Yuxing, it's really you. Suddenly, a sharp female voice came into the seven people's ears. Ling Yuxing shuddered and his back stiffened. He slowly turned around. There seemed to be countless waves surging in his eyes. His face paled, but when his gaze met Ouyang Mingzhu's, it turned into coldness and calmness. Ouyang Mingzhu. Strong hatred and disgust exploded on Ouyang Mingzhu's face. Why are you here? Do you want to pester my brother? Ouyang Mingzhu's voice was very loud. In an instant, both the new and old students were attracted to her. There were not many students in Starry School who did not know Ouyang Mingzhu. Naturally, they also knew who her brother was. If Tianshu Institute was the most outstanding institute in Starry School, Ouyang Qing was the brightest star in the Tianshu Institute. Until now, no student could surpass his talent and ability. In the many years of Starry School's entrance examinations, he was also the only one who defeated a Golden Core mentor alone. In the Starry School, many people saw Ouyang Qing as their idol, and many female cultivators saw Ouyang Qing as their dream lover. Ouyang Mingzhu's treatment in the Starry School was extremely good. The biggest reason was not her illustrious background, but her identity as Ouyang Qing's younger sister. Ouyang Qing, who was usually cold and taciturn, was only amiable towards his younger sister. As a result, both male and female cultivators hoped to get close to Ouyang Qing through her. At this moment, seeing Ouyang Mingzhu pointing at a tall and beautiful woman and scolding her for pestering Ouyang Qing, everyone immediately whispered and pointed at Ling Yuxing. Ling Yuxing pursed his lips. His face was pale, and he remained silent. However, Ouyang Mingzhu revealed a disgusted expression. She gritted her teeth and said, "You have nothing to say now that I've exposed your dirty thoughts? Ling Yuxing, why are you so disgusting? Didn't my brother tell you to scram and never appear in front of him?" Chapter 1169. Otherwise, even if he were to die, he would never appear on this land. Pfft, you shameless pervert. Do you think I will believe you? Ouyang Mingzhu roared, suddenly took a step forward, and was about to throw her hand towards Ling Yuxing's face. Since the beginning, you have been using this neither human nor ghost appearance to pester my brother. I feel disgusted when I see you. Didn't I tell you to scram? Otherwise, every time I see you, I will beat you up. She raised her palm and ruthlessly threw it towards Ling Yuxing's face. However, before it could touch Ling Yuxing's face, it was ruthlessly grabbed in the air. Yun Ruhan firmly grabbed Ouyang Mingzhu's hand and looked down at him. His usually honest face was as cold as ice. "Miss, if you have something to say, then say it. What right do you have to insult my junior brother?" Ouyang Mingzhu shook her hand heavily, but found that she was completely unable to break free from Yun Ruhan's shackles. She couldn't help but become even more furious. "What kind of dog are you? You dare to control me?" Before Ouyang Mingzhu could finish her words, Lung Yuma had already raised her foot and kicked her stomach. Yun Ruhan released her hand at the right time, and Ouyang Mingzhu instantly fell to the ground, letting out a painful groan. Lung Yuma looked down at her and sneered. "What kind of son of a bitch are you? You dare to hit our family's Xiaowu. Do you believe that I will trample your head into pieces right now?" Ouyang Mingzhu had never suffered such humiliation before and was momentarily stunned. Lung Yuma and Yun Ruhan no longer cared about her and hurriedly turned to look at Ling Yuxing. "Xiao, are you all right?" "Ah, fifth senior brother, your face is scratched. It's the bracelet on that bastard's hand that scratched you." Junior sister's medicine. Quickly apply medicine to Lao Wu. "Idiot, isn't it faster to use healing talismans? Why are you still applying medicine?" looking at all the senior and junior brothers and sisters surrounding her with nervous expressions. Treating the insignificant scratch on her face, she felt a chill run down her spine. The desolation in Ling Yuxing's eyes slowly disappeared and was replaced by warmth. He closed his eyes and softly told himself in his heart, Ling Yuxing, the past is in the past. You are no longer the Ling Yuxing of the past. You do not need to be shackled in those nightmares and sink forever. Because right now, he had the best master, the best fellow apprentices, and the best family. Ouyang Mingzhu finally came back to her senses. Feeling the pain in her abdomen, her beautiful face twisted a little. You actually dared to hit me. She was about to stand up when the crowd suddenly stirred. Someone at the outermost layers suddenly exclaimed, Senior Ouyang, it's Senior Ouyang. The warmth and hope that had just accumulated in Ling Yuxing's eyes completely dissipated upon hearing this. The last trace of blood on his face also dissipated completely. The crowd seemed to have received some kind of order and quickly split into two, opening up a path. A few tall, handsome men with extraordinary temperaments slowly walked over. Their clothes were the same silver-purple color. He was wearing a pure white robe, but on their waists hung an orange-tasseled jade tablet. It was the uniform that represented the Starry School's top institution, the Tianshu Institute, could only wear. Seeing the appearance of these people, the onlookers were stunned and fascinated, especially the person in the lead. He had sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes, and he was as elegant as jade. Chapter 1170. With such talent and cultivation, even the teachers of the Starry School had to be respectful to him, not to mention the students of the Starry School. They did not dare to underestimate him at all. He was the top genius of the Starry School, the greatest treasure, Ouyang Qing. Brother, Ouyang Mingzhu, who was about to get up, immediately maintained her pitiful appearance when she saw Ouyang Qing. Tears filled her eyes, and she looked extremely pitiful. Brother, it hurts? Seeing Ouyang Mingzhu on the ground, Ouyang Mingzhu frowned and quickly walked forward. Mingzhu, what happened? Hearing Ouyang Qing's question, Ouyang Mingzhu's tears immediately flowed down. Brother, someone bullied me. Someone hit me. Who dared to hit Sister Mingzhu? Did they eat a bear's heart or a leopard's gall? Before Ouyang Qing could speak, the people from Tianshu Institute behind him immediately shouted, That's right. Sister Mingzhu, tell us. We will definitely avenge you. Ouyang Mingzhu's eyes flashed. She suddenly raised her head and pointed in Ling Yuxing's direction. Brother, it's Ling Yuxing. He hit me. He even wanted to kill me just now. Hearing the name Ling Yuxing, Ouyang Qing's indifferent expression suddenly changed. He stood up abruptly and looked in the direction Ouyang Mingzhu was pointing. When he walked over just now, Yun Ruhan was checking Ling Yuxing's body, so he covered his figure. Ouyang Qing did not see it. At this moment, when he turned around, he was suddenly faced with a bright and charming face. Ouyang Qing's breathing quickened. His eyes did not blink, and his feet seemed to have their own consciousness as he walked towards Ling Yuxing step by step. His voice was so hoarse that he didn't even notice it. Xiaosheng, why are you here? Brother! Seeing Ouyang Qing's distracted look, Ouyang Mingzhu's face flashed with fear. She hurriedly reached out to hold onto Ouyang Qing and cried pitifully, Brother, my stomach hurts. Yuxing kicked me heavily just now. Big brother, does Yuxing still hate? The last word was lost in Ouyang Mingzhu's mouth, because Ouyang Qing did not seem to hear her at all. He broke free from her hand and walked towards Ling Yuxing step by step. Ouyang Mingzhu's face instantly twisted. Her eyes were filled with intense jealousy, unwillingness, humiliation, and hatred. Why? Why did this pervert, Ling Yuxing, come to steal her brother from her again? Why is it that every time Ling Yuxing appears, Big Brother's attention is completely taken away? What was so good about this shameless and disgusting pervert? Ling Yuxing foolishly looked at the handsome man walking towards him. The scenes of the past slowly replayed in his mind like a trotting horse lantern. In the end, it stopped at the man's heartless and disgusted scram. Heh, Ling Yusheng, just how cheap are you? A mournful smile appeared on his face. Others have already told you to scram, but they only think of you as a disgusting, perverted monster. Why can't you forget him? Why did his heart still hurt so much when he saw this man? Or was it so painful that he almost couldn't breathe? Little 5. Yun Ruhan looked at him nervously. Ling Yusheng's current appearance was too haggard, as if he could collapse at any time. Chapter 1171. Yun Ruhan had always been the most matronly in the entire sect. He couldn't wait to take care of all his senior brothers and junior sisters. Meeting Yun Ruhan's worried eyes, the suffocating pain in Ling Yusheng's heart slowly faded. He stood up straight and looked at Ouyang Qing coldly. "I'm sorry, I didn't know you were here. Otherwise, I would rather die than come to Starry School." Hearing this, Ouyang Qing's pained expression suddenly turned into anger. Those pitch-black eyes were burning with a blazing flame. "You don't want to see me that much? Huh?" Ling Yusheng sneered. "If I remember correctly, wasn't it young Master Ouyang who felt disgusted when he saw me and told me to scram? I'm sorry that I couldn't scram to a place where you would never see me again." Ouyang Qing's expression was pained. He went forward and wanted to hold his hand. "Shai." Yin Ruhan had just heard Ouyang Mingzhu call him brother and ask him to take revenge for her. Thinking that he was going to attack Ling Yusheng, she quickly went forward and slapped his hand away, pulling Ling Yusheng behind her. Ouyang Qing watched as Yun Ruhan blocked Ling Yusheng with a protective posture. Ling Yusheng, who had always been sensitive and suspicious of people, did not resist Yun Ruhan's touch at all. Instead, his face was full of trust. His expression darkened bit by bit, and he tried hard to suppress his anger. "I'm talking to Sheng, please scram." Yun Ruhan was also angry, but he was not an impulsive person. Moreover, the man in front of him was obviously an influential figure in Starry School. This group of people had just arrived, so it was naturally best not to cause trouble if they could avoid it. He took a deep breath and said, "No matter what grudges Xiao Wu had with you in the past, it's all in the past. Since he said that he doesn't want to see you, please don't disturb him anymore." Ouyang Qing clenched his fists. Seeing Yun Ruhan's protective posture towards Ling Yusheng, he could not suppress his murderous intent. "I'll say it again. Scram!" Yun Ruhan's face darkened too. "I won't allow you to hurt Xiao Wu." Ouyang Qing raised her hand and punched at Yun Ruhan. However, Ling Yusheng's movements were even faster than his furious punch. Before Yun Ruhan could react, she pulled him behind her and went up to meet him herself. Bang! A heavy punch landed on Ling Yusheng's chest. His lips turned pale, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. "Little Sheng, little 5, fifth elder brother." Mu Yin hurriedly rushed forward and quickly burned a talisman to heal the injuries in Ling Yusheng's body. Even so, she was still worried and fed him another pill. Ouyang Qing wanted to go forward, but was angrily pushed away by Lu Oyu. With Yun Ruhan's support, Ling Yusheng slowly walked toward Ouyang Qing, a self-mocking smile on his face. After this slap, has the young master's anger at seeing a disgusting person like me dissipated enough? Ouyang Qing's lips trembled slightly. "Little Sheng, I'm not." He hadn't even finished speaking when Ling Yusheng's expression suddenly became solemn, and a piercingly cold, killing intent appeared on her elegant face. Chapter 1172. It doesn't matter how young Master Ouyang wants to vent his anger on me, but if you dare to touch my fellow brothers and sisters, I promise that even if I have to risk my life, I will definitely stop you. The pain on Ouyang Qing's face suddenly turned into a monstrous rage the moment she heard this. He stared at Ling Yuxing with eyes filled with disbelief, shock, and anger. Ling Yuxing, you're fighting me for someone else's sake. Ling Yuxing's face was cold, and his eyes were resolute. They are not others, but the most important family members of my life. At this moment, Ouyang Qing almost wanted to roar. What about me? Then what am I? However, when she met Ling Yuxing's resolute and emotionless eyes, she couldn't help but sigh. His voice seemed to be stuck in his throat, unable to utter a single word. There seemed to be a patch of thorns fiercely scratching at his heart. The pain made him bleed profusely. Ouyang Qing closed her eyes to hide the redness in her eyes. Good. Ling Yuxing, you're good. With that, he leaped onto the enlarged flying sword. Brother, wait for me. Ouyang Mingzhu screamed and wanted to pounce on him. However, Ouyang Qing did not seem to see her at all. The flying sword flew into the sky and disappeared without a trace under Ouyang Mingzhu's exclamation. The people on the Tai Square who were watching this scene were all stunned. Everyone cast bewildered and jealous gazes at Ling Yuxing. Just now, Ouyang Qing's attitude towards this woman was really too strange. It was completely different from the cold and distant attitude he usually showed to others. In particular, the few people from the Tianshu courtyard who followed Ouyang Qing all year round were extremely shocked. When did their boss not have a straight face and not understand moon breeze? Even when facing Ouyang Mingzhu, his only sister, he didn't have much gentleness on his face. But today, facing this beauty, he actually showed so many expressions. He had even completely forgotten about his younger sister, Ouyang Mingzhu. What happened to Senior Ouyang? Why did he treat Mingzhu like this? Isn't Senior Ouyang usually very gentle to Mingzhu? Also, why was Senior Ouyang so gentle to that woman just now? Could it be that he likes that new girl? Who is that woman? I can't believe I'm so lucky to be able to gain Senior Ouyang's favor. The jealousy of the surrounding female cultivators entered Ouyang Mingzhu's ears. She finally couldn't take it anymore. She abruptly turned around and roared hysterically at Ling Yuxing. You shameless pervert. You're obviously a man, but you actually like my brother who's also a man. In the past, you used Big Brother's brotherhood to seduce him, and now you're dressed like a fox. You're disgusting. Whoosh! When Ouyang Mingzhu said this, the entire Tai Square completely exploded. Oh my God! What did I hear? Men like men? You're clearly a man, but you're wearing women's clothing? Isn't that a pervert? God, why do good men not like women but like men? He's disgusting. No wonder Senior Ouyang acted so strangely just now. Previously, Senior Ouyang must have been bewitched by him and treated him as a brother. I never thought that this disgusting pervert would actually covet Senior Ouyang. Ugh, I don't want to be in the same academy as such a disgusting pervert. Chapter 1173. Ouyang Mingzhu hid the craziness and smugness in her eyes and acted like a worried sister. She choked and said, Ling Yuxing, I'm begging you. Let go of my brother? In the past, he treated you as his best brother and always protected you. In the end, the scandal of you liking other men was exposed and almost destroyed him. Your Ling family is at most a servant in the Ouyang family. Big Brother didn't care about your low birth and brought you up since you were young, letting you enjoy the same treatment as the Ouyang family's young master. Is this how you repay him? A trace of viciousness flashed across her eyes. She put her hand to the corner of her eyes to wipe away her tears. Do you know how strong my brother's reaction was after you left? He hates men the moment he sees them, and he doesn't want to come into contact with other men. Because when they get close, he will think of your dirty thoughts and feel disgusted. Do you know? He has become more and more antisocial these years. It's all your fault. Now that he has come to the Starry School and slowly walked out of it, why do you still appear in front of him? Ouyang Mingzhu grabbed Ling Yuxing's hand, her nails almost digging into his flesh. Ling Yuxing, I'm begging you. On account of the Ouyang clan and my brother's kindness, can you drop out of school and leave the Starry School? Ouyang Mingzhu's words were like a knife stabbing into Ling Yuxing's heart. He thought of the distant past, the memories that had been sealed for a long time. He had followed the outstanding young master since he was young. Year after year, day after day, the young master was so good to him. All the food, clothing, and even precious treasures, as long as the young master had a share, he would have a share. Even the servants in the mansion knew how much the brilliant young master, Ouyang, doted on and protected the beautiful youth by his side. In the Ouyang clan, one could even be disrespectful to Ouyang Qing, but definitely not to the young man. Time passed in the blink of an eye. They had grown up. Ling Yuxing did not know when his gaze towards the young man beside him had changed from admiration to deep, unforgettable love. He knew how dirty and taboo that kind of love was, but he could not extricate himself from it until there was no turning back. Therefore, it was not Ouyang Qing's fault. It was no wonder that Ouyang Qing detested him, and disgusted him. He could only blame himself for being delusional and becoming a fool. Ling Yuxing suddenly closed his eyes and forced back the tears in his eyes. His hoarse voice seemed to be broken as it spilled out from between his teeth. Okay, I'll answer. Oh, if Ouyang Qing doesn't want to see my fifth senior brother, why don't you ask him to drop out of school? Ling Yuxing hadn't finished speaking when he was interrupted by a clear and melodious voice that was like the sound of nature. And Ouyang Mingzhu's wrist was also long and slender, and her slender, jade-like fingers clasped it. Ah! Ouyang Mingzhu let out a cry of pain as she felt her wrist bones cracking. She was forced to let go of Ling Yuxing's hand and looked at the young girl in front of her. It was a face so beautiful that it could make one's soul swoon. Her sparkling peach blossom eyes were filled with ridicule and laziness, but it made people unconsciously want to be intoxicated by it. Chapter 1174. Muyin looked at her coldly with a hint of mockery in her eyes. She said slowly, "Just now, your story was very nice, but unfortunately, what about your brother? What does it have to do with my fifth brother? Who do you think you are to make him quit school and leave Starry School?" Others might not have noticed Ouyang Mingzhu's pretentiousness and Ouyang Qing's affection for Ling Yuxing. However, in her previous life, Mu Yan's family had been ruined by Gong Qinxue, a woman with a snake's heart. In her eyes, Ouyang Mingzhu's little trick was nothing more than a drizzle. She was not interested in what Ouyang Qing was thinking, nor was she interested in explaining for him to her fifth brother. However, if Ouyang Mingzhu wanted to bully her fifth brother in front of her, she would have to see if she agreed to it. Ouyang Mingzhu looked into the pair of peach blossom eyes and felt as if she was seen through from inside out. Moreover, the girl in front of her looked so slender and young, but her eyes sent chills down her spine. However, Ouyang Mingzhu quickly regained her senses. She glared at Ling Yuxing, then looked at Mu Yan's group and mocked them maliciously. "Aren't you afraid of being infected by that pervert who is neither a man nor a woman? I advise you to stay away from that pervert, or else you won't be able to face others in the future." "Who the fuck are you calling a pervert?" Luo Yu stomped her feet in anger. Lung Yuma even drew her sword and was about to attack, but was stopped by Mu Yan. Seeing this, Ouyang Mingzhu was even more pleased. "You're a man, but you like your brother who is also a man. You're a man, but you dress up like a girl. If you're not a pervert, then what are you?" Mu Yan looked at her deeply. Suddenly, she turned around and hooked her finger at a girl not far away. When the girl saw Mu Yan's picturesque beauty, her soul seemed to be hooked away. She walked over in a daze. Mu Yan reached out and gently pushed the girl's hair behind her ear. Her lips curled into a charming and gentle smile. "What's your name?" The girl blushed and stammered. "I am Zhang Zhen, Zhener, what a nice name." The young girl's voice was like the sounds of nature, lingering around with a bewitching power. "Can you tell me, who is the practitioner you admire and love the most?" The young lady was shy and timid earlier, but when she heard this question, almost without thinking, she immediately said, I admire young Master Yun Xiao the most. As soon as the words left her mouth, her face turned as red as the sunset. The people around them burst into good-natured laughter. Young Master Yun Xiao was the idol of the entire cultivation continent. It was normal for them to adore and love young Master Yun Xiao. The little girl smiled embarrassedly, her little face blushing, looking indescribably cute. However, Mu Yin was somewhat speechless. How could a random person be a loyal follower of youngest martial uncle? Cough, little martial uncle. I'm sorry, I can only borrow your name today. She coughed softly and said, if one day, young Master Yun Xiao tells you that he likes men, would you find him disgusting and think that he is a pervert? Chapter 1175. The other girls also showed expressions of righteous indignation. It's as if as long as Mayan says one more bad word about young Master Yin Xiao, they will have to fight with their lives on the line. Even the male cultivators were not in favor of the idea. They were not as infatuated with young Master Yin Xiao as the female cultivators were. However, young Master Yun Zhao's strength and his title as the #1 sword cultivator in the cultivation continent were the targets that many men chased and admired. Mu Yin smiles lightly, turning a blind eye to the anger of the people around her. I said moreover, you're not young Master Yin Xiao. How would you know if he likes women or men? What if he really likes men? Seeing that the little girl is confused, Mu Yin secretly apologizes in her heart and continues to swindle. Moreover, young Master Yin Xiao has roamed the world for so many years. Have you ever seen him being especially close to any woman? It's not entirely baseless to say that he likes men. Ba, Mu Yin silently said in her heart, little martial uncle, for the sake of fifth senior brother, I can only let your reputation suffer. Zhang Zhen'er has really been led around by Mayan. She's so anxious that her tears almost come out. Even if that's the case, you're not allowed to speak ill of young Master Yun Xiao. Mu Yin gazes into her eyes, slowly saying, but don't you think that a man liking another man is a pervert, a disgusting existence? Zhang Zhen'er's face turned red, and she almost blurted out what she wanted to say. No. Even if young Master Yun Xiao likes men, he is also the person I admire the most. Moreover, liking men or women is young Master Yun Xiao's freedom. I will absolutely not allow anyone to slander him. Yes, it's young Master Yun Xiao's freedom to like men or women. We won't interfere. Whoever dares to slander young Master Yun Xiao, we will tear their mouth apart. Why do I suddenly feel that rather than letting young Master Yun Xiao be together with that little whore, wouldn't it be better to have a cultured and refined handsome man? Just looking at that scene is extremely beautiful. Whether young Master Yun Xiao likes men or women, it is his freedom. What does it have to do with others? Who dares to call young Master Yun Xiao a pervert? If you have the ability, then take the title of the world's #1 swordsman first. The crowd was enraged. It was as if everyone's hearts had gone to the ends of the heavens just because they were slightly involved with young Master Yun Xiao, this super idol. Ouyang Mingzhu looked at this scene and listened to the slogans of the people around her that gradually turned into, it doesn't matter if he likes men or women, it's his freedom. She couldn't believe her ears. Mu Yin looks at her with a smile that isn't a smile and unhurriedly says, Senior Ouyang, now, do you still want to say that my fifth brother is a pervert? If the man my fifth senior brother likes is a pervert, then could it be that young Master Yin Xiao is also a pervert? Ouyang Mingzhu's face turned ashen when she saw the covetous gazes of the people around her. She couldn't say a word for a long time. You're the one who conspired to stir up trouble. I'm not talking about young Master Yin Xiao at all. Mayan sneers. So, what you mean is in this world, only young Master Yun Xiao is free to love. Was it normal for young Master Yun Xiao to like men? As for fifth senior brother liking men, he is a pervert. Chapter 1176. Mayan's face sinks, and she enunciates each word. Love is the purest and most free thing in the world. Whether it's a man, a woman, a flower, a tree, or even a tool spirit or a vicious beast, it's all an individual's right. Let's not talk about whether my fifth senior brother likes men, whether he likes Ouyang Qing or not. Even if he really likes men, so what? Where love comes, it goes deep, and human power can't stop it. Why should my fifth senior brother feel ashamed? Why should he be insulted by you? Love is not sinful. The real sinners are those who use the banner of love to do whatever they want for their own selfish desires, harming others and themselves. Mayan's sonorous and forceful words are like a heavy hammer pounding on the bottom of Ling Yuxing's heart. He covered his face with his hands. Tears overflow from the gaps of his fingers, wetting the ground drop by drop. And his body is also shaking uncontrollably. No one has ever told him that he has the right to choose what he likes. No one has ever told him that even if he likes men, so what? He doesn't need to feel ashamed, doesn't need to be humiliated. Love is not sinful. Is he really not a pervert? Can he really be redeemed? Yun Ruhan's hand gently presses on Ling Yuxing's shoulder, her eyes slightly red. They always knew that because of those past events, because of his love for a man, Little Five has always been living in self-destructive torment. They want Little Five to walk out of those shadows and nightmares, but they don't know how to do it. They want to tell Little Five that no matter what kind of person he is, whether he likes men or women, whether he likes to dress up as a woman or not, he is Little Five of the Xiaoyao school. But Yun Ruhan also knows that such persuasion can't truly make Little Five feel at ease. But today, the words of the junior sister seem to open a whole new world for Ling Yuxing. It turns out that love is not sinful. It turns out that Little Five has never been wrong. He doesn't need to shackle himself in a cage of pain. Fortunately, looking at Ling Yuxing covering his face and crying bitterly, as if he wants to cry out all the grievances and pain of a lifetime, Yun Ruhan murmurs, "Fortunately, the junior sister came." Because of Mind's words, those who originally only supported the freedom of love to protect Luo Yunxiao also show thoughtful expressions, even though there were still many people who disapproved of such a taboo love. Under such circumstances, he wouldn't say it out loud. This was the first time that Ling Yuxing wasn't spurned by everyone when they found out that he liked men. Ouyang Mingzhu never thought that the situation would develop like this. Her beautiful face was completely distorted, and she wanted nothing more than to pounce on the young girl in front of her and tear her into pieces. Even if liking men isn't a sin, as a man, he dressed up as a woman and pretended to be a fox. Isn't that perverted? Muyin couldn't help but laugh out loud. In this world, there are many women who like to dress as men and go out to play. Even my fourth senior sister usually dresses up as a man. What? According to you, those who like to dress up as men are also perverts? You don't want to be a beautiful woman, but you want to dress up like a rough man? Ouyang Mingzhu choked. This is not the same thing at all. Chapter 1177. It's fine for a woman to dress up as a man, but not for a man to dress up as a woman. Are you discriminating against men or women? The surrounding people looked at each other. They felt that there was something wrong with Mu Yan's words, but they did not know how to refute her. I think she's right. It's fine for a woman to dress up as a man, but why can't a man dress up as a woman? You're a man, yet you dress up like a sissy. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with being a sissy? Weren't you born from a woman's pregnancy? The surrounding people were in an uproar. No one cared about Ouyang Mingzhu's humiliation and questioning of Ling Yuxing anymore. A long, long time ago, Ouyang Mingzhu had always wanted to attack Ling Yuxing. As long as she exposed his disgusting secret, she could enjoy everyone's criticism of Ling Yuxing. She thought about Ouyang Qing's doting and protection of this disgusting man. She thought about her brother's passionate and focused gaze when he looked at this man. Ouyang Mingzhu went crazy with jealousy. Only when she heard people curse and despise Ling Yuxing viciously would her gnawed heart feel better. However, at that moment, everything had changed in the Tai Plaza. Someone had actually started to speak up for this pervert, Ling Yuxing. Someone had actually said that he was normal? How could this be? Ling Yuxing, don't think that just because you hooked up with a woman who can speak up for you, you can change the fact that you're a disgusting pervert? Ouyang Mingzhu screamed, "My brother clearly doesn't like you, but you keep pestering him. Who's disgusting if you're not disgusting?" Ling Yuxing had already wiped his tears dry. The makeup on his face had also been wiped clean, revealing a beautiful and handsome face. He looked at Ouyang Mingzhu coldly and said word by word, "Please go back and tell Ouyang Qing that in the past, I, Ling Yuxing, was delusional and hoped for feelings that did not belong to me. However, I woke up from this dream a few years ago. From now on, Ouyang Qing and I will never meet again. We will have nothing to do with each other. From now on, we will go our separate ways. Please don't appear in front of me and my fellow disciples again. Otherwise, don't blame me for revealing what you did back then to the public." After he finished speaking, he did not hesitate to turn around and leave. Ling Yuxing, "Stop right there." Panic flashed across Ouyang Mingzhu's face as she stepped forward to grab Ling Yuxing. But just as she reaches out her hand, it's caught by Mayan. "Slut, let go of me. Do you know who I am?" Ouyang Mingzhu raised her hand to slap Mu Yan's face. Mu Yan tilts her head, then raises her hand and ruthlessly slaps her face. Lung Yuma very smoothly raised her leg and kicked Ouyang Mingzhu's abdomen. Ouyang Mingzhu screamed and fell to the ground again. This time, he fell even more miserably than before. His left cheek swelled up like a steamed bun. Ouyang Mingzhu's life had been smooth since she was young. When had she ever suffered such humiliation and scolding? Her eyes are filled with resentment and malice as she stares at Mu Yan and Lung Yumo. You dare to hit me?" She screams and is about to call for the academy's guards to come over, but Mayan takes a step forward. Sticking close to her ear, she whispers, "Say, do you think that it's disgusting for a man to like a man, or is it more disgusting for a younger sister to secretly love her older brother? Guess how Ouyang Qing would treat you if he knew that you were harboring such filthy thoughts towards him?" Chapter 1178. Mu Yin raises her hand and gently pats her swollen cheek. Her beautiful face was filled with a carefree smile. "So, I advise you to be obedient and not cause any trouble. If you dare to cause trouble for my fifth brother again, don't blame me for being rude." After saying that, Mu Yin turned and left with the people of the Xiaorao sect, smiling. Ouyang Mingzhu was left on the spot. Her expression slowly changed from panic and fear to thick murderous intent. In the Yuhan courtyard, a female cultivator who was on good terms with Ouyang Mingzhu hurried forward to support her, but was pushed away by her. "Go and investigate. Ling Yuxing, that pervert, and the people around him, which sect are they from? If she could not repay the humiliation she suffered today 10 times, or even 100 times, her surname was not Ouyang. There's no need to investigate." Suddenly, a woman's voice cut in. "They are from the Xiaorao sect of the Azure Heaven Realm. That's a small and secluded sect. There are only 7 people in the entire sect." Ouyang Mingzhu suddenly turned her head, her face full of anger. At such a pathetic moment, she would not be nice to anyone she saw. But after seeing the clothes of the newcomers, Ouyang Mingzhu narrowed her eyes. "You are from the Silver Feather Palace?" Hua Biyuan nodded proudly. Then, she looked at the direction where Mu Yin had left, and her eyes were full of hatred. Those 7 people from the Xiaoyao school embarrassed our Silver Feather Palace in public. Even my sister Hua Xiangrong hates them to the core. Ms. Ouyang, are you interested in working with us? I want those 7 bitches from the Xiaoyao sect to live a life worse than dogs in the Starry School. Yi Futian's eyes lit up. Ouyang Mingzhu's eyes lit up. Tell me about it first. Because all the new students had to stay in the school of the Emperor's Star for 3 days. Therefore, in these 3 days, Starry School arranged accommodation for all the new students. Just as Mu Yin and her group were about to enter the room, they suddenly heard a shy and nervous voice. Miss June. Mu Yin turned around and realized that the person who stopped her was Zhang Zhiner, whom she had just called to demonstrate. Mu Yan's attitude towards cute girls had always been gentle. She smiled and motioned for Yun Ruhan and the others to enter the house first. Then, she walked towards Zhang Zhiner. What's the matter? Zhang Zhiner looked around anxiously for a while before saying in a low voice, I just saw the people from Silver Plume Palace with Ouyang. Senior Ouyang. They might want to attack you guys. You guys must be careful. The people from the Silver Feather Palace were mixed up with Ouyang Mingzhu. Mu Yin slightly narrowed her eyes, her expression cold. However, when she saw the little girl's worried expression, she still smiled warmly. All right, I understand. Thank you for telling me this. Looking at her beautiful smile, Zhang Zhiner's little face immediately blushed, and she shyly turned around to leave. But just as she took a step forward, she couldn't help but turn back and ask cautiously, Young Master Yin Xiao, does he really like men? The blue veins on Mu Yan's forehead throbbed, and she barely managed to maintain her smile. That was just an example. It's all right. Zhang Zhiner clenched her small fists and vowed solemnly. Even if young Master Yun Xiao really likes men, I will support and worship him forever. After saying that, Zhang Zhiner runs away, leaving Mu Yin in a somewhat disordered state. Chapter 1179. She's in fear and trepidation. Of course, what's even more trepidation is that if this matter were to spread out and reach the ears of young martial uncle, Mayan shudders, suddenly not daring to imagine that beautiful scene. At night, just as Mayan is about to enter the space to cultivate, there's a sudden knock on the door. When she opens the door, she sees a handsome and elegant youngster dressed in white under the moonlight. Mayan blinks, then blinks again. Fifth brother? She simply can't believe her eyes. You're really fifth brother? Ling Yuxing shows a somewhat awkward smile and lowers his head. Is this very unsightly? No. How could it be unsightly? Mayan quickly pulls him in. It's so good-looking that my eyes can't move. When fifth brother was dressed as a woman, although he was also delicate and elegant, it was hard to distinguish his gender. But there's always an inexplicable sense of oppression and incongruity. But now that he's dressed as a man, Mayan only feels refreshed. Truly, a young man in white on a scarlet horse, unparalleled in this world. Mayan can imagine that Ouyang Qing was accompanied by such an outstanding youth all day and night, feeling his deep affection. How could she not fall for him? How could she not be moved? It's just that the shackles of the secular world bind their hearts, turning them into strangers. Mayan looks at him deeply. Fifth brother, in fact, you don't like to wear women's clothes, right? Ling Yuxing's eyes flash with pain, but it's immediately replaced by calmness. He laughs self-deprecatingly. When Ouyang Qing hated me in the past, I had thought countless times, is it because I'm a man that I'm not worthy to like him? That's why he hates me so much. At that time, I wished that I was a woman, that I could marry him openly and stand by his side. Now that I think about it, I was really too stupid at that time. For someone who didn't love me, I actually gave up my dignity and lived like a completely different person. Mayan gently pats his shoulder, her voice unbelievably soft. Fifth brother, it's all in the past. It's enough as long as you live for yourself from now on. Ling Yuxing reaches out and gently pulls the girl in front of him into his arms. He buries his face in Mayan's hair. His voice is soft and hoarse, as if he is weeping and complaining. Junior sister, thank you. If only I had met you back then. Back then, when Ling Yuxing was at his wit's end and in despair, when he was abandoned by the entire world, how good would it be if he could meet the girl in front of him and tell him that love is sinless? However, the heavens were still fair to him. Therefore, he joined the Xiao Yao school. Thus, he met his junior sister. No matter how the world looked at him in the future, no matter how they despised him, he would never give up on himself, despair, and misery again. Because he knew that behind him, there would always be a group of dearest family members who would support and protect him. The luckiest thing that has ever happened to me in this life is to have all of you fellow disciples. The youth's voice was filled with the bitterness of the first half of his life, but it was also filled with hope for the future. It was so soft and moving. Mu Yin slowly reaches out her hand, wanting to hug the youngster to give him a little comfort. The temperature in the room suddenly dropped. Even Ling Yuxing, who was immersed in his emotions, seemed to have sensed something. He abruptly loosened his grip as if he was being burned and took a step back. Chapter 1180. Ling Yuxing saw that Mu Yan's clothes were wet from his tears and felt a little embarrassed. Little junior sister, rest well, I'll go back first. My nods. Only then did Ling Yuxing turn around and leave Mu Yan's room. Just as he pushed open the door to his room, his arm was suddenly clamped by a scorching hot palm. Then, with a sudden fling, he was heavily pressed against the closed door. Ling Yuxing grunted in pain. There were no candles in the room, so it took him a while to adapt to the darkness and see who it was. Her clear pupils suddenly contracted. Oh, Yangqing, why are you here? Let me go. Ouyang Qing didn't look right at this moment. His entire body reeked of alcohol, and his eyes were bloodshot. He looked like a wild beast that had gone berserk because of his injuries. Who was that woman just now? Is he someone you like now? That woman just now? Ling Yuxing stares blankly for a long time before he realizes that Ouyang Qing is talking about Mayan. He frowned and struggled with all his might. What does it have to do with you who I like? What does that have to do with me? Ouyang Qing looked as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world, but his laughter was so sorrowful that he wished he was dead. Ling Yuxing, when you shamelessly chased after me all those years ago and said that you would love me for the rest of your life, why didn't you say that it had nothing to do with me? Ling Yuxing's face turned deathly pale, and his frail body couldn't help but tremble. The spiritual energy in his body suddenly surged, and he broke free from Ouyang Qing's restraint. He gritted his teeth and glared at Ouyang Qing. Yes, I admit that I was despicable and shameless back then. I clearly knew that you didn't like men, but I still chased after you shamelessly. In the end, I ended up in such a difficult situation. I only have myself to blame, and no one else is to blame. Ling Yuxing closed his eyes and blinked away the moisture in them. But oh, Yangqing, haven't I done enough to like you? Haven't I paid a heavy enough price? What else do you want me to do? How miserable do you want me to be to offset the disgust and hatred in your heart? When he closed his eyes, it was as if he could see himself from 5 years ago. He was stripped naked, hung up and beaten, his biological father's hateful gaze, and his mother's cold and distant back. Ouyang Mingzhu had specially found a man to mock and humiliate him. There was also the sinister and callous scheme of the Ouyang clan's patriarch, Ouyang Qing's father. That was the most despairing and darkest hell of his life. If his master hadn't happened to pass by and saved him, what kind of ending would he have suffered? All of this was because he had fallen in love with Ouyang Qing. He had fallen in love with someone he shouldn't have. Ouyang Qing stared at him blankly, her eyes flashing with hesitation, heartache, and sadness. He walked forward step by step and reached out to gently wipe away the tears on the young man's face. His voice was hoarse and painful. "Little Sheng, I didn't really hate you at that time. I didn't know that you had such feelings for me. When I suddenly found out, I panicked. I didn't dare to admit it." "Enough!" Ling Yuxing slapped Ouyang Qing's hand away. The sadness and despair on his face faded away and turned into cold determination. "You don't need to tell me how disgusting my feelings are to you. Don't worry, I won't bother you anymore. From now on, you have your life and I have mine. We have nothing to do with each other. Now please leave." Chapter 1181. Your life? What kind of life do you want to live? Do you want to hook up with other men? Or do you want to marry and have children? He suddenly stepped forward and pressed Ling Yuxing against the bedpost. With a hoarse voice, he said, "Ling Yuxing, don't dream. You naturally like men. How can a woman satisfy you? Tell me, if your junior sister knew what you looked like when you were under me, would she still be willing to marry you?" "Shut up! Shut up!" Ling Yuxing grabbed Ouyang Qing's collar and said angrily, "Ouyang Qing, I'm warning you. You can insult me, but you can't insult my martial brothers and sisters. I like men, but so what? Even if I like men, I won't stoop so low as to like you. Get out of here!" Ouyang Qing's eyes were red, staring at Ling Yuxing's handsome face that was full of killing intent. In his mind, the image of the young man in bright clothes and the carefree and unrestrained appearance appeared. At that time, as long as he turned around, he would see those clear and focused eyes. Being stared at by those eyes, Ouyang Qing felt as if he was that young man's world. He liked to spoil and protect this little brother of his. Looking at his carefree smile, she felt as if her entire heart had been filled up. But now, the young man who loved him wholeheartedly, who only cared about him, had disappeared. Ouyang Qing's voice was hoarse, as if it would break at any time. "Little Sheng, do you want to kill me for someone else?" Looking at the man's red eyes, Ling Yuxing felt as if his heart was being pulled by something. But soon, he restrained all his emotions. He coldly looked at Ouyang Qing. "I said, I only want to be strangers with young Master Ouyang. As long as young Master Ouyang doesn't provoke our Xiaoyao school and don't humiliate my martial brothers and sisters, we will naturally have nothing to do with each other." "Nothing to do with each other?" Ouyang Qing sneered. "I think you once again found a man you want to seduce, so you are in a hurry to cut ties with me. Ling Yuxing, why are you so lowly? Can't you live without a man?" Slap! Ling Yuxing fiercely slapped Ouyang Qing's face, his body uncontrollably shaking. "Ouyang Qing, I am despicable. But no matter how lowly I am, it has nothing to do with you, young Master Ouyang. You're not leaving? Then I'll go, all right." Ling Yuxing abruptly turned around and strode out of the room. When he walked out of the door, he could no longer hold back his tears. He hated Ouyang Qing. No matter how much he detested his feelings for Ouyang Qing, after so many years, why did he have to humiliate him again and again? But he hated himself even more. Ouyang Qing had clearly treated him like that, so why? Why, just because of a few words from Ouyang Qing and a look from Ouyang Qing, his heart still ached so much. The pain was unbearable. "Little Sheng." Ouyang Qing regretted it as soon as she said it. But just as he went out, he saw that Ling Yuxing's figure had already disappeared without a trace. With Ling Yuxing's speed, if he really wanted to escape, no one under the original infant stage would be able to catch him. Ouyang Qing punched the wooden door. The sturdy wooden door instantly shattered into powder. Mu Yan sits high up on the fake mountain, looking at the direction in which Ouyang Qing and fifth senior brother have left. She thoughtfully touches her chin. Chapter 1182. It's just that on such a beautiful face, there's a playful and lazy smile, as if she's watching a good show. TSK, TSK. It seems that the story between Ouyang Qing and fifth brother is more interesting than she thought. No wonder Bailey Leoine's notes mentioned that girls in her era would scream when they see two beautiful men together. Just now, when she imagined the scene of Ouyang Qing embracing fifth brother, she inexplicably felt the wolf's den boiling. However, just now in the room, when fifth brother hugged her, was it Ouyang Qing who she felt the powerful pressure? But she still feels that something's not quite right. That kind of hair-raising feeling, that feeling of her heart stopping, could it be the pressure that Ouyang Qing could bring? But if it wasn't Ouyang Qing, then who could it be? Seeing that there's nothing to see, Mayan jumps down from the rockery and returns to the room. As soon as she enters the room, she slightly narrows her eyes, and a cold light flashes through them. Zhang Zhen'er's words echo in her mind, that Ouyang Mingzhu and Hua Biyue want to make a move on her. It turns out to be this kind of method. The expression on Mayan's face doesn't change in the slightest, and she leisurely sits down on a chair. She takes out the Tian Mo Qin from the space, and her slender hands slowly pluck the strings. The sound of the Qin goes from lingering and mellow at the beginning, gradually becoming resounding and impassioned. From resounding and impassioned, it turns into a weeping and complaining sound. Heavy breathing gradually comes from several corners of the room. In the end, someone finally couldn't bear it anymore. He lets out a painful howl, holding his head and rushing out like a madman. Aya, I can't stand it, I can't stand it. If there's a first, there's a second, a third. It's not until all the people hiding in the room have run away that Mayan leisurely stops playing the Tian Mo Qin. The corner of her mouth slowly hooks up into a lazy and charming smile. With just this bit of skill, they still dare to make a move? Mayan stands at the door, looking at the direction in which those people have fled. She claps her hands and is about to enter the room. Suddenly, she turns around and looks at the rockery where she had just stayed. The moonlight is like silk, but there's an almost illusory shadow on top of the rockery. From afar, Mayan can't see the person's appearance clearly. She can only feel a pair of murderous eyes firmly staring at her. The pressure emitted by this person caused beads of sweat to appear on her forehead, and all the blood in her body seemed to be boiling. However, not only did Mu Yin not retreat, he even took a step forward. Resisting the heavy pressure, he slowly raised his head and met the pair of wolf-like fierce and ice-cold eyes. A powerful pressure and divine sense were suddenly released. The person standing on the rockery clearly did not expect her to have such a reaction. After being stunned for a while, he suddenly turned around and disappeared into the boundless moonlight. Looking at the empty rockery, Mu Yin frowned slightly. Who was that person? His strength was so strong that it made her feel fear and pressure from the bottom of her bones. Could it be that the pressure in the room came from him? No, there still seems to be something wrong. Mu Yin thoughtfully returns to her room and gently fiddles with the zither. She doesn't know what she's thinking, but the corners of her mouth slowly curl up into a faint smile. On the other side, Hua Biyue and Ouyang Mingzhu were so angry that they almost crushed their teeth when they saw the assassin going back like a madman. Ouyang Mingzhu glared fiercely at Hua Biyue. Didn't you say that as long as we have these people, it will be foolproof? Hua Biyue knew how powerful the people of the Xiaorao sect were. Chapter 1183. Therefore, she thought of letting the Silver Feather Palace sacrifice warriors sneak into Jun Mayan's room and kidnap her to threaten the rest of the Xiaoyao sect. Who would have thought that so many men of sacrifice would end up in such a state just to deal with a mere musician? Hua Biyue's face turned green and white, speechless for a long time. Humph, what Silver Feather Palace, just as so. Ouyang Mingzhu swung her sleeves and turned to leave. In the end, she still had to think of a solution herself. No matter what, she would not let Ling Yuxin continue to stay in Starry School and seduce her brother. Alioth Branch. College Chief Wei. This is the name list from the Golden Core mentor in charge of the assessment. Wei Tianming took the jade scroll from his subordinate and was about to check it. The subordinate continued, "Oh right, Qi Ming specially mentioned someone this time. He said that she is a rare support genius in the cultivation continent. College chief, if we can pull such a talent into our Alioth branch, we will definitely be in the limelight in the school competition in the future." Hearing this, Wei Tianming was surprised. Qi Ming is not one to praise people casually. What is that person's name? It's a girl called Jun Mayan, from an unknown small sect in the Azure Sky realm. Moreover, Instructor Qi Ming also speaks highly of the others in that sect. Wei Tianming nodded immediately. Send someone to contact them immediately and invite them to join our Alioth branch. Uncle, I don't agree. An angry female voice suddenly came from outside. I don't want to see any of those bitches from the Xiaorao sect in Starry School. Wei Tianming looked over. Seeing the person, his face immediately showed a trace of doting and love. Mingzhu, why are you here? Ouyang Mingzhu rushed over and hugged Wei Tianming's hand. Uncle, you must help me teach those people from the Xiaorao sect a lesson. Mingzhu was bullied so badly by them. When Wei Tianming heard this, he couldn't help but frown. Mingzhu, don't throw a tantrum. Someone who could be praised by Qi Ming must have outstanding potential. If he's snatched away by another branch in the future academy competition, Ouyang Mingzhu gritted her teeth and suddenly whispered in Wei Tianming's ear, "That sect is Ling Yuxing." Hearing these words, Wei Tianming's pupils suddenly contracted. What did you say? As soon as he finished speaking, he realized that he had lost his composure and hurriedly waved his hand for his subordinates to leave. Mingzhu, are you saying that Ling Yuxing is not mistaken? Ouyang Mingzhu gritted her teeth and said, "That bitch, even if she turns into ashes, I'll still recognize her." Uncle, do you remember what we did to him back then? If he really makes a comeback, he definitely won't let us off. Also, she looked humiliated. Also, Big Brother treated him the same way he did 5 years ago. That bitch pervert came back this time to snatch my brother from my hands. Wei Tianming abruptly stood up from his chair, impatiently pacing back and forth. No, we absolutely can't let Ouyang be together with that little bitch Ling Yuxing. Everything that belongs to the Ouyang family belongs to you in the future. It belongs to our Wei family. Who does Ling Yuxing think he is? He's just a man, yet he dares to dream of competing with us for everything. Chapter 1184. Ouyang Mingzhu's face was filled with grievance. But brother only treats me as a sister. If he knew that I'm not related to him by blood, I'm afraid that brother would never care about me in the future. Ouyang Mingzhu's mother was not Ouyang Qing's biological mother, but Ouyang Qing's mother's cousin, Wei Kaiju. Wei Kaiju gave birth to Ouyang Mingzhu 8 months after marrying Ouyang Qing's father. No one knew that Ouyang Mingzhu was not Ouyang Qing's father's daughter, but the product of Wei Kaiju and her brother Wei Tianming's adultery. But Ouyang Qing thought that Ouyang Mingzhu was his only sister, so even though they had different mothers, he treated her extremely well. This made Wei Tianming and Ouyang Mingzhu have delusions. If Ouyang Qing fell in love with Ouyang Mingzhu, then wouldn't everything in the Ouyang clan belong to them? Wei Tianming stared at Ouyang Mingzhu and said coldly, "That's why I want you to make Ouyang Qing fall in love with you. Only by making him fall head over heels for you and telling him the truth will he marry you and give you everything you want. Otherwise, as the daughter of the Ouyang clan, you can only be used as a tool for marriage alliances and marry anyone." No, I don't want to marry anyone else. I only have brother in my heart. Thinking of that miserable future, Ouyang Mingzhu immediately cried as she hugged Wei Tianming's hand. "Uncle, no, father, you must help me. I don't want anything in the Ouyang clan. I only want brother. I must become brother's wife." Only the heavens knew that after she knew that she and Ouyang Qing were not biological siblings, she fell madly in love with him. In this life, other than Ouyang Qing, she would never fall in love with any other man. Wei Tianming rubbed Ouyang Mingzhu's head and said gently, "Silly girl, your daddy's precious daughter. How could daddy not help you? But you must work hard. If you still can't make Ouyang Qing fall in love with you, then in for a penny, in for a pound, in for a pound. You and Ouyang Qing will cook rice and get pregnant with his son. At that time, it doesn't matter if he's willing or not. He must marry you. Ouyang Mingzhu's eyes widened in fear. No. How can I do that? If I do that, brother will hate me to death. Back then, Ling Yuxing shamelessly climbed onto Ouyang Qing's bed, making him worried. Don't tell me you're worse than a man? Ouyang Mingzhu's expression kept changing. She didn't say that she was the one who had schemed against Ling Yuxing. She didn't expect that Ling Yuxing and her brother would at that time. Her intestines had turned green, and she wished she could skin Ling Yuxing alive. But Big Brother had indeed been worried about that bitch Ling Yuxing ever since then. If only she could be with her brother. If only she could be pregnant with her brother's child. Ouyang Mingzhu's eyes lit up, but it was quickly replaced by anger and jealousy. But now that Ling Yuxing has appeared, Big Brother only has that bitch in his eyes, and he doesn't even spare me another glance. There's also Ling Yuxing and those people, especially that slut called Jun Mayan. She humiliated me in front of everyone, and even had a glib tongue, making the surrounding people think that it's normal for a man to like another man. If this goes on, I'm afraid Big Brother will really be seduced away by that slut, Ling Yuxing. Chapter 1185. 1. Open QQ reading. Discover, receive benefits, popular character selection. Search for Xiao Bao / Wei Zishi. Choose Aziz book and support both of them at the same time. 2. There are 3 quests: 3-dimensional sense, love value, and vitality. Complete the corresponding quests and you will receive the corresponding influence, which will add points to Xiao Bao and Wei Zishi. 3. Whether Xiao Bao / Wei Zishi can debut depends on you two. Move your little hands and work hard together. Chapter 1186. Uncle, you mean we can expel them from Starry School? Wei Tianming shook his head. They performed well in the freshman assessment. If we expel them, I'm afraid that Qi Ming will be the first to find trouble with me. Ouyang Mingzhu said angrily. If we can't expel them, won't we still let that bitch seduce my brother? Although the 6 branches of the Xiaoyao sect each had a protective shield and were far away from each other, people could enter and leave at will. Wei Tianming glanced at her, a meaningful smile on his face. Mingzhu, have you forgotten? Starry School still has a deserted, secluded branch that no one dares to mention as if it's a taboo. On the 3rd day, with Wei Tianming as the representative, Starry School announced the recruitment of each branch. This year, Tianshu branch only accepted one person, Hua Xiangrong of Yinyu Palace. But everyone's gaze did not even stop on Hua Xiangrong's name. Instead, they looked straight to the end. Yawang branch, Ling Yuxing. I remember that Yawang branch was deserted many years ago. There are no teachers or students. How can someone be assigned to Yawang branch? Yeah, I heard that Yawang branch's crystal supply has been cut off, and there is no protective shield. Going to Yawang branch is no different from being abandoned. Yun Ruhan frowned and suddenly stepped forward. Why is Xiaowu assigned to Yawang branch? People from other clans who are of similar strength will be assigned to the same branch. Xiaowu's strength is no weaker than ours, so why can't he be with us? Yun Ruhan's group of 5 were assigned to Tianshu branch, Tianxian branch. Muyan was assigned to Aliath branch, which specialized in support. This was a good result, but only Ling Yuxing. Wei Tianming glanced at Yun Ruhan and said carelessly, when choosing students other than strength, the branches also look at their character and morality. A person with a bad character will ruin the school's reputation. Naturally, no branch is willing to accept them. As long as the Starry School accepts people, there is no precedent of expelling them. Since no branch is willing to accept them, we can only send them to the Alcade branch, Yi Futian said. Yun Ruhan's face darkened, and she gritted her teeth. What do you mean by having a lack of morals? My fifth junior brother has never done anything evil. What right do you have to slander him like this? As a man, you like to dress up as a woman to seduce other men. Isn't that a disgrace to the family? Ouyang Mingzhu sneered. Don't think that with your glib tongue yesterday, you can cover up this disgusting behavior. The mentors of the super monastery all have discerning eyes. How could they be fooled by you? The female cultivator beside Ouyang Mingzhu also sneered and said, in any case, our Alioth branch is not willing to recruit this kind of person. What if one night he climbs on a senior brother's bed and throws himself into your arms? Then wouldn't our Alioth branch's clean reputation be completely ruined? Bah! I feel disgusted that such a man is living in the same bedroom as me. Our Migres branch doesn't want this kind of freak. In my opinion, this kind of disgusting freak should be chased out of the Starry School directly. The group of people on Tai Square, especially the students around Wei Tianming, seem to have become a different person from yesterday. Chapter 1187. Yun Ruhan trembled in anger. Don't go too far. However, before he could finish, he was stopped by Ling Yuxing. Ling Yuxing's face was a bit pale, but his expression didn't have the helplessness he had when he was humiliated by Ouyang Mingzhu in public the day before. There was only indifference. Eldest senior brother, don't say any more. I will go to the Alcade branch. Yun Ruhan said anxiously, but fifth brother, we said we'll be together. How can we let you go to the Alcade branch alone? Big brother, are you stupid? Mu Yin laughed. Who said we'll let fifth brother go to the Alcade branch alone? She turned around and looked at Wei Tianming with a faint smile. Starry School doesn't have a rule that new students can't choose to change branches, right? A dark light flashed in Wei Tianming's eyes. You can change branches, but you can only change from top to bottom. You can't change from bottom to top. Once you choose, you won't have the chance to change branches. Ling Yuxing's expression became anxious. Little sister, don't do it for me. Unfortunately, before he could finish, Luo Yu had already said loudly without hesitation, we choose to change to the Alcade branch. At the side, Ouyang Mingzhu and Wei Tianming looked at each other, joy flashing in their eyes. Wei Tianming coughed softly. The six of you are all willing to change to the Alcade branch. Ling Yuxing wanted to stop them, but Mu Yin patted his shoulder. Fifth brother, when we were on the spaceship, we already said that the seven of us will not be separated. Furthermore, have you forgotten the real reason why we came to Starry School? I'm still waiting for you to help me. How can I let you hide in the Alcade branch alone and slack off? Meeting the girl's confident and determined eyes, Ling Yuxing's heart ached and warmed at the same time. The last trace of loneliness in his eyes turned into warmth and strength. The anxiety and anger on Yun Ruhan's face all disappeared. She said decisively, all right, we Xiao Yao 7 will advance and retreat together. No matter which branch, we will enter and leave together. He turned to look at Wei Tianming without a trace of hesitation. The six of us will all choose to switch to the Alcade institution. Wei Tianming faintly smiled and nodded. Everyone heard this. It was the six of you who wanted to go to the Alcade branch. I didn't force you to go. There was no protective shield, no mentors, no students, and even the Alcade branch that was rumored to be haunted. Whether you live, die, sink into depravity, or disappear without a trace, don't blame me. Mu Yin returned to her temporary residence in the school of the Emperor's Star, only to find that her original room had already been occupied. In fact, it wasn't just her room. Even Ling Yuxing's room next door was occupied. The people who occupied their rooms were the people from the Silver Plume Palace. Sitting on the bed was Hua Xiangrong, whom he hadn't seen for several days. She's coldly looking at Mayan. There's pity and disdain in her eyes. Mu Yin frowned slightly. What are you doing in my room? Your room? Huh? Hua Bu's face is full of pride. Don't you know that only those who have been accepted by the 6 schools need to go through the admission ceremony tomorrow? It's a pity that the Alcade branch doesn't even have a mentor, so there's no need for an admission ceremony. You have to leave the school of the Emperor's Star immediately. Chapter 1188. Ha ha ha, I think the location of these rooms is better than our original one, so I plan to move here. Hua Biyue gritted her teeth in anger when she thought of the hatred of Mu Yin and the others for snatching their rooms. Now that they could snatch Mu Yan's room, she felt indescribably happy. The other people of Inu Palace also laughed. The flying boat is ready to take you to Yaoguang Branch. Ha! I'm afraid you can never return to the school of the Emperor's Star. Why don't you take the opportunity to see more? Ha! For so many years, this is the first time I heard that someone entered Yaoguang Branch without any tutor or students. The hall is full of weeds. What are they going to do there? Weed and plow the fields? The people around laughed. Hua Xiangrong gently waved her hand, and the laughter slowly stopped. She slowly walks in front of Mu Yin, speaking with a bit of loftiness. I originally wouldn't have let you off for what you did at Xingchen Villa, but now, I'm not going to let you off. But now, since you have been driven to Yaoguang Branch like stray dogs, I will not argue with you. As she said, she raised her hand and threw some clothes to Mu Yin. Take your things and get out of here. Mu Yin frowned, with a touch of coldness in her eyes. But before she could speak, a child wearing the uniform of the school of the Emperor's Star came in from outside. He impatiently said to Mayan, "You're Jun Mayan of the Alcade branch. The flying boat is ready. Why don't you come quickly? Today is really unlucky. I can't believe I have to send this group of trashes to that damn place." Before he finished his words, he suddenly saw Mu Yan's face. His voice came to an abrupt halt. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets, and his face flushed red. Mu Yin slightly hooked her mouth, showing a faint smile. "Where's the flying boat?" Yes, in the backyard. Miss, please follow me." "Let's go." Hua Biyue looked at the boy's infatuated look, and her face twisted with anger. That foxy girl really wants to seduce men all the time. Just as he was speaking, a melodious sound of a zither was suddenly heard. It was accompanied by Mu Yan's pleasant voice with a smile. "Since you want to live in my house so much, I hope you can live comfortably." Hua Xiangrong frowned. Looking at the direction in which Mu Yin left, she felt inexplicably uneasy. What does she mean? What else could it mean? It's just the barking of a stray dog. Sister, you don't need to pay attention to her at all. However, as soon as Hua Biyue finished speaking, there was a rustling sound around the house and underground. What is this sound? Buzz, buzz, buzz. Poo piu piu. Chi chi chi. Before Hua Biyue and the rest could react, countless flying insects flapped their wings and flew in from outside. The floor beneath his feet also cracked open, and thousands of black bugs swarmed out like a tide. So many insects, help. Sister, save me. Why are there so many insects? It hurts. It's that Mu Yin. It must be that bitch Mu Yin. The whole house was in chaos until Hua Xiangrong burned it with spiritual fire to drive away these insects. Chapter 1189. Even on Hua Xiangrong's body, there were several red spots. In the backyard not far away, the flying boat to Yaoguang Branch slowly rose into the air. Mu Yin looked at the room that was getting smaller and smaller, with a leisurely smile on her lips. Every time I see my junior sister smile like this, I know someone is unlucky. Chu Moli's leisurely voice came into her ears. Mu Yin squinted at him and chuckled. Third senior brother. Same to you. When it came to cheating people, the third senior brother was really abnormal, and he was not worse than him at all. But it was a pity that her skill of summer bug language had not been able to advance, and now she could only control the most common insects. And the number of insects she could control at one time was limited. Otherwise, this time she would definitely let those people from Inu Palace taste the feeling of occupying her room. The dense corpses of insects were cleared out, and Hua Biyue wanted to vomit when she saw it. The hatred in his heart towards Mu Yin has reached its peak. Hua Xiangrong sneered faintly and said, I wanted to let them go, but I didn't expect that they were so ungrateful. In this case, don't blame me for not being polite. In Yaoguang branch without any defense and supplies, I want to see how they can live safely. Sister, you are finally willing to deal with those bitches. Hua Bus shouted with joy. As long as you are willing to give the order to mobilize the gyroscopic division of Inu Palace, those 7 bitches of Xiaoyao School will definitely die. Hua Xiangrong was a little hesitant. The gyroscopic division was the real men of sacrifice and elites of Inu Palace. It was not easy for her to mobilize them. By the way, sister, when you return to Inu Palace these days, why did father look for you? If you came back earlier, they would not be so arrogant. Hearing Hua Bu's question, Hua Xiangrong seemed to think of something, and her cheeks flushed. In her eyes, which had always been cold and arrogant, there was a bit of shyness and tenderness. It was the first time that Hua Bus saw her proud sister show such a little girl's temperament, and she could not help but be surprised. Sister, did you see the distinguished guest that father mentioned? Hua Xiangrong neither answered nor denied, but the tenderness in her eyes was a bit more diluted. Sister, who is that distinguished guest? Could he be from the Purple Cloud realm? The Ziyun realm? Hua Xiangrong sneered. Even the royal family of the Ziyun realm is only qualified to carry his shoes. Recalling the shock and palpitation she felt when she first saw that man, Hua Xiangrong slightly clenched her fists. It was as if his father's words rang in his ears again. That person's status is so high that you can't imagine it. Furthermore, father heard that he has never had a woman by his side. If such a person likes someone, it will definitely be wholehearted. Xiangrong, you have always been my father's most outstanding daughter. An ordinary man would not be able to enter your eyes. Only this person, if you can make him fall in love with you, from now on, our Hua family and the Silver Plume Palace will soar to the skies with a single leap, and we will be revered endlessly. In the past, she would have scoffed at her father's words. No man in the world could make her, Hua Xiangrong, lower her proud head to admire them. But since she met that person, Hua Xiangrong could no longer maintain that coldness and arrogance. It was as if there should be such a man in the world, perfect and superior. Chapter 1190. Sister, sister. Hua Bu's voice suddenly brought Hua Xiangrong back to reality. She coughed slightly and was about to speak, but the door was suddenly pushed open. A figure came in like a ghost. Seeing Hua Xiangrong sitting on the bed, the person showed a surprised look. Miss Hua, why are you here? This is my sister's room. What's so strange about her being here? Hua Xiangrong, on the other hand, stood up in a rare show of hospitality, walked up to the man, and slowly saluted him, then said softly, If I remember correctly, you are Wolf 9 of Master Star Wolf. Why are you here? It's Master Star Wolf. What can I do for you? Hua Bue and other people of Inu Palace were surprised to see Hua Xiangrong was so respectful to the person. In Inu Palace, even when she met the palace master, Hua Xiangrong did things her own way and did not show much respect. Who is this black-robed man? Wolf 9 did not answer Hua Xiangrong's words, but asked again, Is this your room? Hua Xiangrong only had the thought of this is Jun Mayan's room in her mind, and then she nodded. Hearing this, Wolf 9 immediately took out a silk handkerchief from his arms and handed it to Hua Xiangrong. This time, his voice was respectful and even flattering. This is what Master told you. He said that you will know when you see it. Hearing the word Master, Hua Xiangrong's eyes suddenly widened, and she was surprised and happy. This is really Master. Really, he gave it to me? Wolf 9 nodded and bowed deeply. Without saying anything further, his figure drifted away like a wisp of smoke and vanished without a trace. This is Yaoguang Branch. You can go in by yourself. The flying boat stopped in front of a huge stone gate covered with green vines. But it did not stop for a moment, and then flew away without a trace. The little boy, who was so attentive to Mayan just now, was full of fear and dread, and even did not dare to enter the gate of Yaoguang branch. What's going on? Why do these people look like they have seen a ghost? They slowly walked into the towering stone gate. The top of the stone gate had been completely covered by vines and dust, but they could still vaguely see the two words Yaoguang. At this moment, the sun was slowly setting in the west, and the world was slowly shrouded in darkness. The Radiant Brilliance branch was shockingly large, but it was also shockingly empty. Yururu, suddenly, there seemed to be a strange and resentful voice in the night. It sounded like the sobbing of a woman, but also like the humming of a zither. Well, what is that? Luo Yu grabbed Mayan's hand nervously, her voice trembling. I heard them say that Yaoguang branch is not clean, so it has been empty for so many years. Is it really haunted here? Chu Moli couldn't help but chuckle softly. If there are ghosts in this world, I would really like to see them. Let's see how different they are from the demons and monsters I wrote. In the dark night, the young man's gentle face had a pair of astonishingly bright eyes. It was as if he was looking forward to seeing the most interesting thing in the world. The corner of Mu Yan's mouth twitched. Once again, her third senior brother was a pervert. What? Is there really a ghost here? Lung Yuma excitedly took out her long blade with a face full of excitement. I've wanted to try chopping a ghost for a long time. Chapter 1191. Ling Yuxing looked at Luo Yu's pale face and said guiltily, Xiaoqi, I'm sorry, it's all my fault. What's the use of apologizing? Luo Yu clutched Mine's arm tightly as she trembled. Fifth senior brother, you have to apologize. You go and help me tidy up a room, then light candles inside. I won't argue with you. All right. And that black dog's blood, sprinkle it outside the door. Quick, go. The veins on Ling Yuxing's forehead bulged as he said in disgust, Get lost. Who would touch something as disgusting as black dog's blood? If you want to go by yourself. Luo Yu stared at Ling Yuxing in disbelief. Fifth brother, you've changed. How can you be like this? Didn't you just say that you're sorry for dragging us down? Did I say that? Ling Yuxing turned his head. The wind is too strong. You must have heard wrong. Mu Yin. She took back her words. It wasn't that her third brother was sick. It was that her entire sect was sick. Because it was too late, Mu Yin and her group could only find a relatively clean hall to tidy up and settle down. She saw Luo Yu curled up and trembling against Yun Ruhan, the cute dimples on her face gone. This Xiaoqi wasn't afraid of strange puppets at all, but she was afraid of ghosts to this extent. Mu Yin couldn't help but smile. Instead of resting, she entered Tianguang ruins. Sister Yi, you're here? Bei Kuei Xiangnuan saw her and immediately greeted her with surprise. Laozi's #1 shop was basically managed by Bei Kuei Xiangnuan. The little girl was very dedicated. Of course, as the only shopkeeper and employee of Laozi's #1 shop, Mu Yin generously gave Bei Kuei Xiangnuan a large stack of talismans as a bonus, in addition to the monthly crystal salary. Bei Kuei Xiangnuan gave these talismans to her brother, and her brother's cultivation improved by leaps and bounds, his future bright. Therefore, the little girl was truly grateful to Mu Yin. Mu Yin pinched Bei Kuei Xiangnuan's round face and smiled gently. How's business these days? Every day, the supply can't meet the demand. North Sunflower Xiangnuan said with pride and admiration. Sister Yi, look, our shop is now a 3-star shop. Mu Yin looked at the shop information and then looked at the item warehouse. Sure enough, the spar were already piled up like a mountain, and she couldn't help but reveal a smile. Little K.A., do you know how I should operate if I want to purchase large items from Tianguang ruins? North Sunflower Xiangnuan was stunned. Sister Yi, are you going to buy something that the Jade Key can't hold in Tianguang ruins? You will need a flying crane talisman treasure to transport it, and the price is not cheap. Mayan's eyes brightened. Tell me, where can I buy it? The Alcade branch was now a piece of barren land, and there were many things waiting to be done. However, there was no market in the vicinity where people could buy things. Mayan also didn't want to waste too much time going back and forth. So her last option was to buy it in Tianguang ruins and send it over. Although the price was twice as expensive as buying it in the market, it was still worth it. Half an hour later, Mu Yin has spent more than half of the crystal stones she earned from the #1 shop under the heavens. Her heart ached a little, but she returned to the shop with satisfaction. According to the shopkeeper of the exchange, the things she bought would be delivered to the entrance of the Arcade branch tomorrow morning. Chapter 1192. Mu Yin returned to the shop with a smile and was about to leave after saying goodbye to Bei Kuei Xiangnuan. The little girl called out to Mu Yin with a face full of gossip. Looking at the little girl's hesitation, Mu Yin was confused. "What's wrong?" Bei Kuei Xiangnuan hesitated and finally asked, "Sister Yi, do you know Sir Yun Xiao?" I guess. Everyone in Tianguang ruins probably knew that the world's #1 shop was related to Luo Yun Xiao. After all, Sir Yun Xiao, who never meddled in other people's business, had actually stood up for the world's #1 shop for so long. Bei Kuei Xiangnuan's expression became even more conflicted. She bit her lip and hesitated for a while. When Mu Yin was about to lose her patience, she finally asked, "Then Sister Yi, do you know whether Sir Yun Xiao likes men or women?" Mu Yin was speechless. What the heck? Why would Xiao Kuei ask this question? Could it be that the things she made up in Starry School had already spread to Tianguang ruins? Mu Yin swallowed with difficulty. "Xiao Kuei, why do you ask? Everyone says that Sir Yun Xiao is gay and likes men. That's why he never gets close to women." The little girl held her face, worried but also yearning. "I really didn't expect that such an outstanding and perfect Sir Yun Xiao would not like women. I wonder what kind of man can move young Master Yun Xiao's heart. I would also like to know the answer to this question." A gentle and magnetic voice suddenly came from outside the shop. It sounded like pearls and jade hitting each other. Mu Yin staggered and almost fell to the ground. She stiffly turned around, only to see a man dressed in green, tall and slender. But she couldn't see his face clearly standing at the door. But even if she couldn't see his face, she knew who it was just by looking at his aura. Mu Yan's expression was even uglier than crying. "Little Uncle Master, why are you here?" Luo Yunxiao slowly walked in front of her. A pair of deep and dark eyes seemed bottomless. However, the corners of his mouth slowly curved into a gentle and affectionate smile. Even though the heavenly light ruins blurred his features, this smile overshadowed the myriad colors of spring and the blooming of flowers. Bei Kuei Xiangnuan held her face, completely stunned. However, mine only feels a chill running down her spine. She can't even maintain the fake smile on her face. Luo Yunxiao looks at her and says word by word, "Junmayan, I like men. A little martial uncle. What are you saying? I don't understand." "Yes, that's right. We just moved to a new branch. There are many things that we haven't dealt with yet. Then, little martial uncle, I'll leave first." Saying that, without waiting for Luo Yunxiao's reaction, Mayan swiftly clenches the jade key and chooses to leave. Looking at the disappearing figure of the girl, Luo Yunxiao smiled instead of getting angry. "How dare you run?" "Do you think you can escape?" "Ha! Master likes men. Beautiful men together with beautiful men. It doesn't seem too bad. Why didn't I think of this series of stories? Little Yin Yin was the most creative. When I get back, I'll go to the bookstore and tell them what name it should be. My man is young Master Yin Xiao. Ha ha!" Luo Yunxiao lifted her leg and kicked Shi-Wan, who was laughing wildly and excitedly away. Her figure also slowly disappeared. Chapter 1193. Haha, Master's gonna settle accounts with those little brats. Great, this uncle can finally see Mei Yin again and enjoy her warm and fragrant embrace. Ha ha! Mu Yin was woken up by Qi Huang on time the next day. When she went to the entrance of the Yaoguang branch to receive the things she bought from Tianguang ruins, she still had some lingering fears. Thinking of the gentle and loving smile of the young martial uncle, she couldn't help but shiver again. It seems that she shouldn't go to Tianguang ruins for some time. Otherwise, if she was caught by the young martial uncle, she would be dead. In the space, Qi Huang sneered. Just a pretty boy. Look at how scared you are, cowardly and cowardly. Mu Yin despised. If you're not cowardly and cowardly, then come out and resist the anger of the young martial uncle for me. Do you think that this sage will be afraid of that pretty boy? Qi Huang stomped his feet in anger. This sage's strength has not yet recovered. When this sage recovers to his peak, that pretty boy is nothing. Yes, 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 Lord Qi Huang, you're the most awesome. Mu Yin comforted him with a few perfunctory words. Qi Huang was even angrier. However, before he could speak again, a huge red-crowned crane flew over from the sky. From a distance, it looked like a red-crowned crane, but when it got closer, it was a huge paper crane. The paper crane slowly descended, and when it was about to reach Mu Yin, it dropped a huge Qingquan bag with a bang. In the Xiojin continent, a storage magic weapon, especially one with a relatively large space, was very precious. Basically, even if one had crystal stones, they might not be able to buy it. But a Qingquan bag was different. There were good and bad quality Qingquan bags, and some could only be used once or twice. Such a consumable could be bought for only a few hundred low-grade crystals. But even if it was only a few hundred low-grade crystals, it was still not a small number. Tianguang ruins actually used a Qingquan bag to carry and transport goods. Mu Yin looked at the mountain-high Qingquan bag in front of her in admiration, and was about to step forward to open it. Suddenly, Qi Huang's somewhat anxious call came from her mind. Jun Mu Yin, be careful. Mu Yin's heart turned cold, and she was about to respond. But she was still a step too late. A sweet fragrance flowed into the tip of her pen, causing her body to instantly become weak and her head to become dizzy. Mayan strives to mobilize her spiritual power and divine sense to manipulate the Tian Mo Qin, but she finds that all her spiritual power and divine sense seem to be sealed. Even the space seemed to be sealed by a powerful force, causing her to lose contact with Qi Huang and Little Phoenix. Leisurely footsteps could be heard approaching. Mayan tries her best to open her eyes, but she only feels that her eyelids are extremely heavy. However, with this glance, she saw that the few people walking over were wearing the clothes of the Silver Feather Palace. Silver Feather Palace. Moreover, they were 7 golden core stage experts. Mayan's heart sinks a little. This time, she was really careless. She actually did not guard against Hua Xiangrong and the others mobilizing the real elite masters of the Silver Feather Palace. However, even if it was the Silver Feather Palace, they would not be able to render him defenseless just by using a knockout drug. What exactly was that sweet fragrance? Thanks to the rosemary that Lord Star Wolf gave us. Otherwise, if we were to fight, we would have injured this ice skin of jade and countenance of flowers and moon, and we couldn't enjoy it to our heart's content. Mayan vaguely felt that someone was lifting her face, and then there was the sound of someone sucking in a mouthful of cold air. Such stunning beauty. It's no wonder that one soul would be captivated, that you're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.